Hi everyone, welcome to the Ravit Show. We are back and we have Anthony from BMC today. Super excited to chat with you, Anthony. It's your debut and can't wait to chat a lot about various things: AI agents on the mainframe, agentic workflows, MCP servers. Where does it fit? I want to hear a little bit about the how it is where human in the loop comes in first when we talk about AI agentic. But I'll let you do all that talking, and I'll make sure to ask you some interesting questions that our audience can also learn from. And those who are joining us in the audience, feel free to drop in questions for Anthony while we are discussing various topics. But Anthony, welcome to the Ravit Show. Super excited to chat today.
Ravit, thanks for having me here today. Appreciate it.
Awesome, Anthony. Just for audience, would you like to quickly introduce yourself? Tell us more about what you do at BMC.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, so Anthony DiStauro, I'm a distinguished engineer at BMC Software. Been with BMC Software quite a long time, almost 30 years, and I'm the lead
Nice.
architect for our AI initiative throughout our AMI portfolio, as well as a AI evangelist.
Amazing. You spent some amazing years in this space. So, and with, I'm pretty sure with all the AI and the agents, you feel same as overwhelmed as we feel. There's so much information out there, but there's so much that we can do with that as well. So talking about, AI agents, in the mainframe, I'm kind of curious to know how AI agents as co-workers on the mainframe work and how does it naturally take over, how does that you know change happens, what changes when agents the AI agents come on the mainframe.
Yeah, so the whole AI initiative in the mainframe space is extremely exciting, as you know, right? There's a lot of talk
Yep.
around the industry about it. But at the end of the day, AI agents is going to play a pivotal role in the mainframe space. We're
Mm-hmm.
we're experiencing, everyone in the space is experiencing this, transition of, a generation that's approaching retirement or at retirement or already retired. We got a whole new fresh generation of talent coming into the mainframe space. That is extremely exciting in its own right. But what we're doing here is we're looking at how do we look at AI or AI agents specifically is as
Mm-hmm.
the domain expertise for that next generation coming in, for them to lean on as a knowledge source, for them to lean on as like a guardian angel through the process of onboarding
Yep.
into the mainframe space. And that's going to apply to all levels of the mainframe space, from AI ops to SecOps to DevOps, etc. We see opportunity across the whole spectrum of space in the mainframe area, where we can really assist that next generation coming in. For example, let me just throw out a couple of examples. Let's talk about
Yep.
developers in the mainframe space. One of the
Mm-hmm.
hard things, I've been hearing this from customers, been out talking to customers about this, been speaking at conferences about this. How do we get the next generation developer up to speed, coming in and working with COBOL code that could be 30 plus years old? One of the
Exactly.
challenges I hear all the time from customers is either the code is not commented, or even that the comments are out of date with the code base. So how do we level set that next generation? This is where AI, with the power of the LLMs today, can come in there,
Mm.
reassure these next generation developers, do code explain, code recommend, on and on and on. But it's not on the other platforms anymore, right? It's not in the distributed space. It's not in the cloud space. It's right here now on the mainframe space. We can go in there and do code explain at the COBOL level for that next generation, as an example. Another one, real quick, in the AI ops space, knowing when there's a problem and when there's an issue, how to go and find the pertinent information that I need to troubleshoot a problem. That
Yep.
information lives in the heads of many, many, many experienced talent in the space, but the next generation doesn't have that. The AI can definitely bridge that gap and shorten that learning curve on actually going out and gathering the necessary information and helping and assisting you in troubleshooting problems in the AI space. So it could be like a workforce for you in its own right.
Yeah, and that's actually very important, I feel. where, like you mentioned, Cobalt being such a language which we've been using since last 30 years, and it's now old, but still a lot of organizations have been using. So how do you kind of make that difference? With AI, obviously agents, we can make that difference. I'm kind of curious, before we obviously get into all much more into the weeds of it, kind of curious to learn from you, for those, say, who are non-technical. I'm pretty sure they would want to learn more about what is AI agents, agentic AI, agentic workflows, MCP servers, obviously, and how do these connect with each other? And then I'm pretty sure we can get more into the detailing of it. So
Oh yeah.
kind of learn from an expert sitting there, Anthony.
It's probably at this point the number one question I get asked a lot from our customers, or even when I'm presenting at conferences, like I was saying.
Yep.
What are AI agents? What is agentic AI? What is an agentic workflow? What's a prescriptive workflow? What's MCP?
Yep.
They all relate, agent to agent communication. Is this pool of acronyms and names, and what does it all mean in the space? So I'm going to try to break it down, because I usually have a nice visual to complement this, but I don't have that now. But so here's the deal,
Yeah.
right? We'll break it down real simple, and
Sure.
hopefully people could connect all the dots. So the first thing is, what exactly is an AI agent? I know there's a lot of marketeering around that term, and everyone's talking about it. So at the
True.
end of the day, right, the way we describe it, the way we look at it, an AI agent is nothing more than a service with AI intelligence, right? It
Mhm.
has a brain. It's a service with a brain. It's a service that understands its data context, that understands the data that it's working with. It's a service that understands what its responsibility is and what its goal is, right? The service is
True.
very focused to a particular job. Well, you'll hear people talk about it, a particular goal, okay? So this AI agent understands its responsibility and goal. It understands the data that it's working with, the context it's working with. It understands how to make decisions based on working with this data that it has. And this data
Yep.
comes in the form of, it could work, it's like I said, these are services, right? So they can work with raw data, they can work with AI ML models, right, to help make decisions.
True.
But right, it could still be working with rules-based AI. What we like to say is our AI agents, the brain of this
Mhm.
agent is a collection of AI techniques as well as classic rule-based programming, all that make up the brain of an AI agent. So it knows how to make a decision based on what its desired goal is, but then it knows how to act on that, right? So it makes a decision
Mm.
and then it acts. And that act could come in many different forms. And this is where it kind of gets scary with people, like, oh, the agents are going to run wild and do things they're not supposed to. That is not the case, right? Like I said, these are services. They're all bound by security context, role-based
Yep.
access, on and on and on. But when we talk about acting, an agent can just simply act by sending a notification, right, to you through some medium to let you know about some activity that's going on. But they have the ability to act. But the most important part is they have the ability to learn. Agents can learn now from a customer's environment, where they're running. So we ship agents to customers to solve particular, use cases, and
Yep.
they all go out the door the same way. But over
Yep.
time, they're all learning the environment they're running in a customer's environment, right? They're learning that environment. So they got this whole cycle of perceiving, making decisions, acting, learning, etc. So that is an
Mm.
agent. Agent is the workhorse of the AI, right? It's the worker. Look at the AI agent as the worker. Now, when we
Yep.
talk about agentic AI, what is that all about? Or agentics? Well, that's, we have an individual agent that's out there doing a particular job. But
Mhm.
when we take a collection of agents and we orchestrate them together to solve a multi-step complex problem in the IT space, as an example, that is what we call agentic AI. Is when you
Right.
utilize multiple agents to solve a particular problem. That is agentic AI in that matter. Now, orchestration of this collection of agents in this agentic AI world, that's when we start talking about agentic workflows. And for
Mhm.
us, the way we look at it, we have two types of agentic workflows that we could create to solve a particular IT problem or use case, even if it's a DevX space. A prescriptive workflow. That's where
Mhm.
the agentic programmer utilizes this pool of AI agents and orchestrates them prescriptively on solving a
Yep.
particular problem. Agent A does this, agent B does this, agent C does this, and then we get the output. So it's very prescriptive on the workflow on the execution of solving a particular problem. That's where we are
Mhm.
today as an industry. That's where we are today. We're orchestrating the agents in that prescriptive manner. Tomorrow and the future, we're not quite there yet for a bunch of technical reasons that will probably take an hour to go through in its own right. But where we're heading is really exciting. Where we're heading is, as I mentioned earlier, agents have the ability to learn and perceive in an environment. Where we really want to head is for these agents to collaborate amongst themselves and based on their
Mm.
experiences, make the right decisions on what should happen next. That
Yep.
going to be a game changer for us in the future. That is really where it's really exciting. As an AI
Yeah.
architect, that really excites me on the possibilities because I think it's just going to open up endless possibilities of what we could do in the future and truly look at AI agents and this collection of agents as a true digital workforce that is working 24/7 on problems because they have this ability to think, decide, and take action on their own.
Yep.
And then the last part of it, well, there's actually two things I want to add to that. So now we have these agents that are working together. It's
Mhm.
important that I think we all realize at this point, having an LLM by itself is not enough for enterprise software, right? It's good for the general case, for the mass producers. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay. Um, we really want to have LLMs that are focused on particular problems that we're trying to solve, but the LLM itself is not enough. And what I mean by that is the MCP protocol that everyone has been hearing about. What is MCP? Model Context Protocol. And it's exactly that. It brings context to the agents. The agents need to connect to really be useful and to really solve real world IT problems. Agents, just like us workers, need to be able to connect to external systems and get
Yep.
real-time information as they need it
Mhm.
to work on the problems they're working on. So MCP has now become the de facto industry standard on how we connect AI to external systems. Beyond exciting, opens up great opportunities for vendors and
Mhm.
customers now to collaborate on solutions, on AI-based solutions. So our agents can connect to their systems, their agents connect to our agents, etc. It just
Right.
brings up great opportunity. And the way agents communicate amongst each other is the A to A protocol that Google announced a few months back.
Yep.
Seems to be what everywhere that we're gravitating to have agents communicate with each other, etc. So it's bringing together all these techniques and these protocols. This is what's really opening up a lot of opportunity in the space when it comes to AI agents.
Right. Anthony, I think you've explained so well. Like this is the first time I've heard, and obviously your title says it so well that you're an AI architect. From AI agents to agentic AI to agentic workflows to MCPs, you've broken down it so well for us and how they kind of connect with each other. Super helpful. Thanks for sharing those insights. My next question is more like a follow-up question to something, obviously in the world of agents that we are in right now. There's also a lot of talk that happen around, oh, is AI agent going to take my job, or is agentic AI, because now agents are talking to agents and they can get work done for multiple people and multiple workers. And if I have a co-worker who actually does work something as good as I'm doing, how does it help? Because I'm going to be replaced very soon. What is your take on that? And how is it that you've seen customers, or even, obviously the community, you talk a lot to the community as well. What is your take on something like this?
Yeah. So my take for one is rest assured AI is not coming for your job tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay. We have a long way to go to get AI to a point where it can truly replace a human 100%. We're not
Yep.
looking at AI in that form at BMC with our solutions. We're looking at AI putting a superhero cape on you, making you
Mhm.
better, more efficient at your job.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
augmentation tool or mechanism for you, the human, to make you better at what you do. That's the way we're looking at the problem with the AI in that regard.
Yep. I think, Anthony, you mentioned something very important in terms of, uh, how it's not going to take the job, but and not going to replace humans. One more question while I was, while you were answering this, I was kind of also thinking about, almost 9 months to 10 months back, we were talking about Gen AI a lot. And Gen AI noise is kind of slowing down now, and agents are kind of heating up, like we all know. What changed in the last year that makes this real? If you, and I'm sure you've seen so many different use cases that made agents more real and Gen AI kind of slowing up a little
Yes.
bit.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you some of my personal perspective first,
For
really
sure.
on outside even my professional life.
Sure.
Stitched this all together because it was the journey I was on. I was on this journey from the very, very beginning with generative AI when it was
Right.
introduced. And,
Hmm.
you know, after I got over the initial wow factor of what it was doing and what it was allowing me to do with it, I saw the shortcomings pretty early on of the technology. One
Yep.
was the way it was introduced, and it had to be introduced that way, right? There was nothing wrong with the way it was introduced with the conversational experience, ask a question, get a response, do a follow-up, etc. But the problem with that for all it's good, and the problem when it comes to enterprise software is it's a reactive model, right? We
Mhm.
all run to our AI platform of choice to start asking questions, whether as a result of being reactive to some incident that happened or reactive that I got to do additional research on something. But
Yep.
whatever it is, there's some trigger that brought me to my chat vendor of choice and started having a conversational exchange. So that's the reactive model. That, as we
Yep.
know, is going to get you so far with enterprise software. You can't expect everyone to constantly be typing questions or asking what is, how to, what should I type questions over and over and over with this wonderful technology. What's
Yeah. Yeah.
agents shifted that. Remember what I said earlier? Agents are nothing but services that run
Services.
24/7, right? So
Right.
bring this notion of generative AI and other AI techniques into the service. That service was
Mhm.
trained. Now we shifted it from a reactive model, which still has its place in enterprise software. There's still a place for a chat experience, of course, but that's not the only. But now the services bring it to a 24/7 proactive model. Now we have agents working 24/7 on particular problems. So whether it's doing forecast models, prediction models, whether it's combing over logs that are being produced,
Yep.
looking for patterns, what it's allowing it to do now is look out over the horizon, look way out into the future, and
Right.
proactive on things that are potentially materializing and emerging. And the agents could then react to that before it becomes a problem, or get the human into the loop and say, hey, you need to go out and look at this. I see this thing happening. This doesn't seem right to me. Something,
So important.
further investigation, or I'm seeing some you know, not so good behavior from users in the system. It's going against their normal behavior in the system. They're starting to do things that are outside their boundary of normal. You may want to further investigate this. So that's the part I really like about the agentic AI potential going forward, is that digital workforce working 24/7, flipping the model around from reactive to proactive in that regard. So yeah, that's the way I see it.
Love it. Love it. Thanks for sharing that fantastic insights again, Anthony. Also, you mentioned about human in the loop. I'm kind of curious to know, how do you see humans plus agent actually making that difference? You mentioned, obviously, you gave me some examples as well. There's a digital workforce that can work 24/7, and there
Yeah.
can definitely be a human in the loop. But have you seen any, like, I would love to hear any of those examples or use cases, or the conversations that you've had, and yeah, just kind of curious to learn your thoughts around how humans plus agent, how do you see it working right now, maybe also in the future, how do you see it, where humans are going to play a very important role, and that is definitely going to be a game changer for the tech.
Yes, it boils down to one word: trust, right? It's
Trust, right?
trust. AI trust. Okay, so let's break that down exactly
Yeah, for
what
sure.
that's all about. 6 months ago, when I was talking about this topic around AI agents, I was getting really hard concern from folks about AI is going to be able to do this. AI is going to be able to just do that. AI is going to take over the world. We're not going to have control over things, right? And that is so far from the truth. So one of the problems I see is actually in the media, when people talk and report on AI having this capability of actionability, or autonomy.
Mhm.
It's always phrased this way: the AI is going to call external systems and delete my databases, right? Where AI is going to call something and do something destructive. At the
Right.
end of the day, that was the first thing I like to clarify with folks when I talk about this. The AI itself, the language model, does not call anything external, right? It
Mhm.
actually makes a request back to the AI platform engineers. Hey, I would like you to make a request to go and fetch this piece of information, or I would like you to go
Right.
and execute this action. But control is, in this case, control was brought back to the human, the developer of the AI system. And then all your checks and balances and guardrails are in place, like any other service going to execute an action. It's, you
True.
got based access, you got all your security policies in place, etc. So that's the
Right.
first misnomer that's out there, that AI can just go out there and start calling
Yep.
kernel systems. But it is a matter of trust, that when an incident occurs, you need to have human in the loop at this point. But eventually, what we want to do is get to the point where trust is established. So what AI needs to do is make that recommendation on, this is what you should do. And after a while, if AI is continuously giving you the right responses back on how it wants to resolve a given issue, you'll establish trust with that AI agent for that responsibility that it's doing. It says, you know what? Yes, there's a very high level accuracy here with this agent. It understands the space. You remember what we mentioned earlier? Agents learn over time. They get better. They understand your environment, your data patterns. So
Right.
the level of trust with that agent will grow over time. Then eventually
Mhm.
customers say, yes, after a certain amount of time, we want to see that checkbox that says, next time this happens, yes, let me hit the checkbox. Next time this happens, AI, you go off and run the script. You go off and run the workflow to take care of the problem. So it's on us, the providers of AI, to build our systems to establish trust. And when we give those recommendations on what the next step action should be, the AI agent or the agentic system has to be
Yep.
fully auditable, where you could drill down into the agent and fully understand why and how that agent came upon its decision on what to do next. you need those insights, right? You need to understand what the agent, the data that it worked with, how it perceived the data, the decisions it made, why it made those decisions, etc. When you, the human, have optics into an agentic system where you could see that at the agent level, that's where
So
you
true.
form trust. And then you'll start to see more and more of these agentic systems pulling the human further and further from the loop as that trust is established.
I love it. These are fantastic insights, and also trust kind of plays a very important role, as you said. I hear this always from the leaders as well. The one thing that they always feel is if we are using agents of it, or if we are, going and applying or adapting AI, we want to make sure where we have guardrails in place, but
Mm,
at the same time, we can trust the agents that not that the wrong person is getting the access to the data, or if we have a prompt that we are, putting in, it's not accessing the wrong data and pulling that information, or it's not going into public domain in any way. So those are definitely interesting insights, and trust is the keyword here. I'm kind of also wanting to know a little bit about the future and how do you see the talent? Anthony, we all have been in the space where it's moving very quickly, but for younger professionals entering, say, the mainframe rails, how do AI agents change the learning curve? Could this actually make the mainframes a career magnet again rather
yeah,
than a challenge? What is your thought?
yeah. So this particular area of use case is probably number one from customers that we get, but it's not even from
Right?
our customers. It's talked about all over the industry. So
Yep.
as we mentioned earlier, we got this whole generation retiring out. We got a whole new generation coming in, which is wonderful. But how do we capture 30 plus years of knowledge from these individuals that are leaving the
Mm-hmm.
organization? That's one. The other challenge is, we hear is, they have data, they have knowledge sprawled out all over the enterprise, captured in many different ways, whether it's, Word documents, video transcripts, whatever it may be. There's a sprawl of knowledge. So how do we harness all that? So first thing you have to look at is understand what the landscape is, where your knowledge is spread. Because what we like to say is the knowledge is there, the skills are what's leaving, right? So
Mhm.
how do we turn this sprawl of knowledge to reduce the onboarding of that next generation to infuse the skills they need to
Right.
get their job done? So one, any AI system that's being rolled out into enterprise needs to be extensible beyond just the capabilities of the LLM. Just like with AI agents, having the need to solve really complex IT problems, having access to real-time data. When it comes to the knowledge aspect of this, again, the LLM alone is not going to be enough unless some organization is out there training their own LLM, but we all know
Mhm.
that's a very timely and costly thing to do. That's not going to really happen. But
Mm.
so what we need to do is gather this, that these agentic AI systems need a mechanism to ingest in or infuse in this knowledge, this enterprise knowledge, to augment the LLM. So these
Right.
platforms have the ability to manage documents, manage videos, and whatever other types of, white papers on processes, white papers on workflows, as much context that you can give the LLM about your enterprise, you want to infuse into the AI system. Then,
Right.
this is where I was saying before, the chat experience still has its place when it comes to enterprise software, right? That you still want to have a place to go where your new
Right.
your next generation can go to and have that assistant right there where
Mm-hmm.
they're asking the assistant, questions like, as far as how to, what can, or how do I type questions, because now that's the relevant part. Now that you have the system with all this knowledge infused to it, like BMC Amy Assistant will have, you know, our enterprise knowledge that we ship, right? So our assistant, we ship a whole knowledge base with our assistant based on years and years of experience at BMC in the mainframe space. Then the customer can augment that with their enterprise knowledge and their years of the knowledge in their enterprise. So now you have the LLM, you have the BMC enterprise knowledge, you have the customer's enterprise knowledge.
Love it.
You get like this three-way connection between all of those. So when you start using the chat assistant, that there's relevance, and that will shorten the learning curve for the next generation, because they don't have Bob. Bob just retired last week, right? So Bob is out the door. They go to their AI assistant, they go to BMC Amy Assistant, ask those questions. Bob is infused now into that. I'll give you a real funny story. Last year, I was presenting at the Share conference here in the States, and we did this whole topic around knowledge base and LLM augmentation. And at the end, this gentleman came up to me and he goes, "Do you mind if I give you a hug?" And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Do you mind if I give you a hug?" And he goes, "I love what you just spoke about." I was like, "Sure." So gave him a hug.
Yeah.
Like, why the hug? He goes,
Yeah, exactly.
"Putting off retirement for 2 years. You just presented to me an exit path for me to retire." He wasn't retiring because he felt like his team wasn't ready for him to retire, because he had so much knowledge in his head and so much experience. But now he's like, I can infuse this all into BMC Amy Assistant, and I can now retire because I leave my team in good hands with the AI. So that's like a real world scenario.
Yeah, I think first of all, yeah, thanks for sharing that story, Anthony. Definitely, I think it is also closing that knowledge gap, which is very important in a way where it is stored obviously in an AI system, and now everyone has the access. Everyone can go back to Bob and ask questions and get everything that they need very quickly. So, which is great. I think. These are fantastic insights, definitely, Anthony. One last question I have for you is around the future. In general, how do you see the future of agents? How's BMC kind of, obviously helping the customers to be futuristic when they're using agents? What are your thoughts?
So I think the future is extremely bright when it comes to agents. AI agents are going to open up opportunities that we cannot even imagine today, right? Even a year and a half ago, some of the use cases that were presented to us were like, well, these are really extremely complex problems to solve. All of a sudden, with AI agents, it has reduced that complexity down to something that's actually manageable and something that we could do. So I see AI agents now just opening up a whole new area of problem solving that we were not able to do just a few short years ago. I also see AI agents as a really true mechanism of taking the toil and the friction out of our jobs every day. The repetitive work, the tedious, time-consuming work, on and on, that stuff, even for myself, I'm starting to write AI agents even for the type of work that I do, because it takes the toil out of my job. I don't have to think about these things, but what it does, it allows me to focus on more important things like the business, the strategy, execution, on and on and on. It just frees up my cycles to do more innovative work. So I see that in the enterprise, where these agents will free up a lot of that toil to have people focus on innovation, to focus on the business and growing the business in ways. So that's one part. The second part of it is I really see true collaboration now between us and customers. Now, no longer do we just roll out the door with a use case, solving a problem and just push it out, roll it out to our customers to address a need. Now we can collaborate with our customers, right? We can write now our AI ecosystem that we provide at BMC could connect to our customers' AI ecosystem because of things like agents and the agent-to-agent protocol and MCP. So I see us delivering solutions in the future, not necessarily through product experiences, but as a collection of agents that we deploy into our AI platform. And then we can then collaborate with customers, meaning our agents can talk to our customers' agents and vice versa, right? We can talk to our customers' systems. So we can now start brainstorming ideas collaboratively with our customers and bring our agents together to formulate new solutions to complex problems just by utilizing the agents. So I see that
Very important.
tremendously. As the LLMs get better from the generative AI perspective, with reasoning and breaking down problems, as the LLMs continue to get better and better, the agents will continue to get smarter and smarter to do more and more complex things. So that's the way I see it. I see our agents. I see agents as a reusable component, right? We can have the same agent participating in many different use cases. We can stitch these agents together in new imaginative ways. So I see lots of opportunities going forward.
Definitely a lot of opportunities there. And Anthony, we can't wait to see all the innovations already that BMC is doing, and what's going to happen in the future as well. One last question, and I promise this is the last one, is about if folks want to reach out to you, learn more, give you hugs, where can they meet you, and where can they connect with you, maybe on social?
Yeah, so folks want to reach out, and I'm always accepting invitations and having conversations with people. So after I speak at conferences, find me on LinkedIn, right? I'm out there on LinkedIn. Connect on LinkedIn, start a conversation. Like I said, I've done this many times with folks that I talk to, whether it's customers or of just folks at conferences. So reach out, find me on LinkedIn. Let's connect and start a conversation.
Amazing. Anthony, once again, thanks for visiting the Ravit Show. Such a pleasure hosting you today. We learned a lot around agents, agentic workflows, MCPs in context, and also mapped out how hybrid team will run mainframe ops with fewer fires and better outcomes. So can't wait to see all of those. But this definitely helped us understand and learn more about a clearer path to agents, to agentic AI, and how humans in the loop with trust can make it a game changer for enterprises out there, and how AI and agents are not going to replace us. So we don't have to be worried, but we can be more confident using agents and have a coworker with us which can actually do our jobs digitally 24/7, and we can always have those guardrails in place. But such a pleasure chatting with you. Your insights were fantastic. We'll keep the conversation going, Anthony, and definitely can't wait to catch up in person and maybe give you a hug as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll keep the conversation going, and you can connect with Anthony on LinkedIn. Thank you, everyone.